Hi and welcome to a new video. Today I'm playing again in my art journal and I want to share a lovely technique with Neocolors to break a blank page. You have to excuse my voice today a little bit. I think I catch the cold from my son and there also might be some allergies I'm suffering from at the moment. Yeah, and it's a bit scratchy and I think I cannot talk a lot today, so hopefully you don't mind. I am scribbling the Neocolors directly to my art journal page, and then I'm adding some matte medium and I'm brayering this over my page, and that creates a really interesting texture with the colors. I try to blend them a bit more into the matte medium, and at the same time it kind of primes your page. I could have used clear gesso, I think, as well, but I think the clear gesso might be a bit too gritty to work well with that brayer, so I used the matte medium. I'm using kind of a rainbow color scheme today, and I'm a little bit careful not to mix the wrong colors so I don't get mud on my page. This process takes a while because you want to layer up and you usually have to let things dry in between. The matte medium dries quite quickly, and with that brayer technique you have usually a thin layer on your page, so you don't have to wait so long, and especially at the moment where it's quite hot outside. You can use the same technique together with white gesso, and then you will get a more pastel-y look of the background. It will be lighter and not as saturated as this one turns out. Once everything is dry, I want to do some background stamping, and I'm using, I think, the emerald green or the teal. I think it might be the teal StazOn ink, and I'm stamping to the background. I'm using flowers from our Pencil Marks number 7 stamp set. It is not in stock at the moment, but it's already ordered and will come in by the end of the month. So in case you place an order with that set, your order will ship once the set is here, and we expect it to arrive in the after the 20th, but you never know, so we have put the 31st as the date it will be back in stock into the shop. It's one of my favorite stamp sets at the moment. I really love using it. I love the bold shapes, and I think it's really versatile, and especially these flowers blended into the background is something I really like. I'm picking the smaller one that's on the set, and I also stamped this one to my page. I do not cover the whole page with the flowers. I leave it as it is like this, because if you do too much, it might be a bit overwhelming and maybe also a bit boring. So I think I'm going with this combination, and it's also a lovely composition that goes from corner to corner. I picked our Marks 3 stencil and I'm using heavy gesso together with a sponge to bring in some pattern with a light color. I'm using white to my page. The page is very colorful and it's getting a bit dark, I feel. So I think we need definitely some highlights. And I think stenciling is also a fun way to add a layer to an art journal page. And also that creates depth. I try not to overload my sponge so that the gesso does not run under the stencil and makes a big mess. I'm now using the rest of my gesso together with a dough scraper. It's usually meant to be used in the kitchen, but I love it for gessoing pages and for collage. And I apply the gesso slightly to the page in some areas. I mainly cover areas where I think it's a bit boring or maybe a bit too muddy, and that brings in some white space and lightens up the whole spread. I want to bring in some other texture. Excuse the rooster in the background, please. And I wanted to use some acrylic ink to get some kind of a fluid look. Unfortunately, my magenta Liquitex ink, it's not old. It's so disgusting. I think it kind of is molding. There is no mold visible, but it stinks and it has a very strange consistency. I'm using it anyways. I try not to breathe when I have that bottle open. Not sure if I will throw it away at any time. Maybe it might be that I will never touch it again. What happens is that I get some really nice fluid and blotchy texture with the acrylic inks, especially because of the different surfaces I have. The gesso, the ink works better on the gesso, and the matte medium resists the ink almost, and that gives some really interesting color moves, I would say. And that's what I really like on this page, because it brings in a lot of depth because of the different texture the fluid ink has compared to the other stuff we already have on the page. I now go in, I think it's the Nickel Azo Yellow. It's also a transparent and very bright color. I don't know what's going on in the background. I'm really sorry. I have my windows open and there is going on a really crazy noise. I applied this in the same way like I did it with the magenta. And it mixes really nice with the layers underneath because of the transparency of the inks. I think I would not have got the same look with an opaque ink. I let this page dry overnight and here I'm back and I want to do some stamping, but instead of a usual ink pad I'm using acrylic inks for that, because that just gives me a much more painterly look, and it's also more opaque. And I think it's just perfect for the look of the whole page. And I also love these images stamped a little bit imperfect with acrylic paint. These are also from the Pencil Marks #7 stamp set. If you're using stamps with acrylic ink, make sure to clean them right away or throw them in water until you have time to clean them. Maybe not for days, just for some hours. And another alternative would be, if you want to use them a bit later, place them upside down onto a wet cloth so the paint does not dry. A jelly plate is a good surface to use as an alternative to an ink pad. You of course could also use your craft mat or just a piece of paper, but with the jelly plate I feel it's a bit easier. I definitely also need some white splatters on this page, and I just use some white acrylic ink. And I also paint down some of the acrylic ink to my page in some areas where, because I want to have some really white spots and not only almost white spots. So that was the reason, and I think that powerful, colorful page could need something to calm it down a bit, and white space is always a good solution for that. I let everything dry again, and I searched for some collage pieces that were matching the page. And now I'm arranging kind of a cluster as a focal point. And I'm also going to add a sentiment to this area. I also like to pick some tiny pieces of the collage papers and add them to other areas on the page just as a hint. And I decided to go with that pink one and add it to the pink areas. I often glue collage over the same color family because then it's not too bam in your face, but it adds interest and texture. For my sentiment, I have die cut some alphabet letters from black paper, and I have covered the paper with some double-sided tape, and that makes the letters super easy to stick down. And I'm just writing the word grow to the collage cluster, and I'm also going to stamp a sentiment underneath that word. Now it's time to do some mark making, and I picked out 3 paint markers, acrylic paint markers. I got these yesterday from Arrtx to make a review video, and this is coming soon, of course, but I really like to use paint markers in my mixed media work for mark making mainly, and also in my sketchbook, so it's something I reach for quite often, and that was the point why I said yes, of course I want to try these out. And there are really nice colors in this set. There are 48 colors, and they are all a bit more on the macaroon side of things, not very bold and bright, more a little bit pastel-y, but not too pastel-y. They are really nice. I really enjoy using them for mark making. They are very opaque, but I will give you a review video maybe next week or the week after. Not sure when I have time to do the voiceover and to record everything. I picked a yellow because it's just perfect on this spread. It matches the background. And I'm also picking one of the pinks. I think I picked the lighter one. I just try it to see if I like the color, and I make more marks on that page. This gives me a really nice final layer, I feel, and it's also a really enjoyable process. I will leave you with some photos of the finished page, and you will always find photos over on my website in the blog post, and there is a link in the video description. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I wish you a lovely weekend. Bye!